Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. And you are very welcome, my friends, and welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. Oh yes, we're going to talk about Wonder Woman because yesterday was International Women's Day. And in some territories and countries where you're watching this from, it may still be. And that's great because we can talk about this magnificent film. There is so much virtue signalling these days, talking about strong women, strong female leads. But most of these people don't know what they're talking about. But when it comes to Wonder Woman, if we're talking about strong female leads, a good representation of females in our movies, Wonder Woman is the best there is. There still isn't very much female representation about, or correction. There is a lot more now, especially if you go on Netflix with their own made TV shows and films. But there's not very much good female representation. This, my friends, is the best. Thanks to Patty Jenkins. Thanks to Gal Gadot. Thanks to the guys who actually wrote Wonder Woman as well. It's a great movie. It's a great movie in its own right. But it's a great movie within the dceu. Wonder Woman came after two very divisive movies, especially Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Two divisive movies I really like, but they were divisive. You see, Captain Marvel has come after this successful IP, is part of this successful IP. Of course, that film's going to make money, but there was never any guarantees of this film being successful. In fact, there were rumours of the film being a mess and needing major reshoots. Of course, this wasn't true. But then to a director, their film's always a mess and always needs tidying up and always needs reshooting. So I'm a creative myself and I'm never happy with my work. So, you know, to a creator, to a director, to a writer, their work's never good enough. So, but this film is brilliant. So why is Wonder Woman not only the best female-led movie I've ever seen in my life, yes, better than Alien, better than Aliens, better than Terminator 2, I love all those female-led movies, they're a great part of my youth, but not only is this a great movie in its own right, a great female-led movie, it is a really great moment within the dceu's history, because this film actually comes at a very low point in the franchise's history, at the beginning of it. Some people liked Man of Steel, I did, some people didn't. Obviously, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad were very divisive films. Then Wonder Woman comes along, right? And you're thinking, oh no, this is, you know. And I remember watching the trailers for Wonder Woman and thinking it's, wow, I can't wait to see this movie. And I remember when Gal Gadot was announced, and I didn't know who she was, but then someone said to me, she'd been in the Fast and the Furious movies, and then I thought, and that she was a model, and I was thinking, and I didn't even look at her, I didn't know what she looked like, but I just thought, oh no, please, they haven't just cast someone because of their looks. Hopefully she can act. This is really important. Now, if you talk to John Campion, he'll tell you that Gal Gadot can't act. She absolutely can act, and she proves it in this film. Gal really does a great job. And Patty Jenkins really helps that happen. And this is the kind of the compromising kind of team effort between these two people, between the actor and the director. You know, any good actor-director relationship should have two entities compromising, right? So they can work together and do the best work that they can. And these two absolutely did. From the first moment you see her, you're embracing that character. And in fact, even when you see the 8-year-old version of Wonder Woman, when the film first opened, you embrace that character. You're in love with this character. You see a character that has a love of life, who's running around Themyscira, Fantasy Island, if you want to call it that. She wants to fight. She doesn't want to be protected. She wants to be like all the other women on the island. And her mum's protecting her because, of course, she's basically the chosen one. She's the one who is the only, she was created to destroy the threat that these women are under. But she doesn't know that. She thinks this sword that her mother shows her is, and I forgot the term they use in the film, but so she doesn't really know. So when she first sees the sword, she's really excited. This film is beautiful. This film looks beautiful. In fact, this is the most beautiful looking film in the 21st century. And I know a lot of people say, oh, what about Man of Steel, Batman v Superman? They're wonderfully shot. But this film, it's very bright. The texture is very bright, but it has a unique brightness and a unique texture to it, this film, in a way I never saw a film before. That's one of the elements I really love. But this film has it all. And it's all about Wonder Woman. It's all about Gal Gadot. And it's all about the wonderful directing of Patty Jenkins. So Patty Jenkins really lets us get to know Diana. So we get to know her as a child very quickly. Then she's a young woman and she's training. You know her motivation. She wants to fight. She tells us that. I want to fight. And so you know that, because basically she's been raised around these women who are fighting, who are training for something coming. And she wants to be part of that as well. And I think that's very aspiring and inspiring. So then she meets Steve Trevor. She's never seen a man in her life. Now, it's interesting because her mother has brought her up to think, you shouldn't really trust men. We don't know them. We don't know what they represent. They could represent a danger. So that's an interesting element. And I think I understand why she's been raised within that environment and that thought process. So she meets Steve Trevor and she says, she saves him. And she says, you're a man. And then he goes, well, don't I look like one? And then they have this bond straight away. And Chris Pine and Gal Gadot have got this wonderful chemistry together. You very rarely these days see a great leading actor and leading female actor with great chemistry. It's very rare. When you look at it in the MCU, it's actually really rarely happened. I think Gwyneth Paltrow and Robert Downey Jr. are all right. I think, but as I say, very, very rare. So that's really beautiful within the film, that you actually see this great chemistry. Chris Pine's a great actor. He has a great screen presence. And of course, that's really important because Gal has a relatively inexperienced. She's never led a movie before at all. This was her first gig. So when you look at the comparison to Gal Gadot and Jodie Whittaker in Doctor Who, the comparison is frightening because Gal Gadot has a natural screen presence. She can lead the story, and Jodie Whittaker can't. It's as simple as that. And I think this is many people's issues with Jodie Whittaker, that she just can't lead a TV show or a story. But Gal Gadot can. She has got a great screen presence. She's great casting. Zack Snyder got her casting. And we had all these idiots saying when she was first cast that such ridiculous things like her breasts weren't big enough. Who turns around and says that? Who turns around and thinks that? Ridiculous, right? So is she the comic book Wonder Woman? I've read quite a few editions of Wonder Woman and editions of Justice League, from the different kind of verses. Obviously, you've got Golden Age and Silver Age, and so they're comparable. What I would say about Wonder Woman, comparing her to the comics, you can't really compare the costume to the comics, but her attitude is there. It's the right attitude. But this is probably the best attitude Wonder Woman's ever had. I remember Wonder Woman sitting with Steve Trevor's friends by the campfire. She talks to them. She gets to know them. And it's a beautiful thing to see this young woman who's in a strange land, naively just sitting there, speaking to these men. And I think the Scottish one tries to come on to her in a way and chats her up. But she doesn't blatantly reject him, but she starts talking to him and getting to know him. And by doing that, he begins to see her as a person, as a woman, and not a sexual object. I love that. And I love the fact that this woman is interested in talking to these men because she's interested in getting to know them. I love that, because Steve Trevor's like talking to other people, but, you know, Wonder Woman Diana wants to get to know these other men, and I think that's brilliant, because probably be her preference, she'd rather talk to Steve Trevor, but she wants to get to know these men, maybe because she wants to know who she's fighting with. But I remember watching it in the cinema and thought, this is amazing, and this really does this is a really positive message between male and female relations, because there's so much hatred going on now, especially being International Women's Day yesterday, and the bile and the disgusting stuff that some girls are posting about men. It just doesn't help. It doesn't help the situation. But this film does, because what does Wonder Woman choose in the end? Love over hate. Yes, at the end of the day, she's fighting her enemy, she's fighting her brother, and she chooses love. He's trying to inspire hate out of her when Steve Trevor dies, and he nearly does it. She can kill Dr. Poison if she wants, but she chooses not to. She allows that villain to escape for another day, right? But she chooses love. She chooses not to kill, not to be angry. She could be angry. There's so many things she could be angry about. Her mother lied to her. Everybody lied to her about what she was. She was born for a purpose. She wasn't born like me and you, to be raised and to be loved, even though her mother, Queen Hippolyta, right, really, really does love her daughter. But she was created by Zeus for a reason. Imagine knowing you were created for a reason. It's like knowing you were an accident and you weren't planned in a way. And that's what happened to me. My mum was pregnant with me down the wedding aisle. It didn't affect my life or anything, and I've always felt loved. But you know what I mean? So Diana is different. Even though she's Wonder Woman, even though she's got powers, she's different because she's here for an absolute purpose. And I love the way Patty Jenkins and the writers of this film do such a good job with that. You wouldn't think that this is in the same universe as the other films because it's very different, but also very similar. When Queen Hippolyta is explaining to 8-year-old Diana about the history of their species, about Themyscira, and it's very similar to what Jor-El does with Superman in Man of Steel. I love that. So there's a lot of what I like about this film, there's a lot of connective tissues without it being blatantly connected to the DCEU. And I think this is what the franchise will be in the future. So this film is a promoter of men and women together, of a strange woman entering a strange land full of men, a gender she's never ever mixed with. And it's really difficult for her. And there's this great conversation between her and Steve Trevor on the boat. And I'm surprised some people never picked up on it. So they talk about men, they talk about maybe laying together on the boat. And she says, I don't mind, because she doesn't see it as a sexual thing. And of course, Steve Trevor, who's highly, obviously sexualized, who's probably slept with a lot of women, can't believe Diana's attitude because she's very different to the other women he's ever met. Because he knows, there's one thing he knows, and there's one thing she definitely knows, they're not having sex. They're not going to make love on that boat. But she makes a great point about this book, about sex, and she goes, look, I know about the sins of the flesh or whatever she says, and basically he talks about it and tries to infer that, women need men or something like that. And she goes, well, women need men, yes, to have babies, but we don't need men for sexual pleasure. She doesn't say it like that. I think it's a great moment. I think because I can imagine some people being triggered by that, but it's true. Women don't actually need us to have sexual pleasure. It's true. And I don't really want to get crude here and talk about it. But if you think about it, you know that women don't need men. In fact, the best sexual partner for a woman is a woman, because a woman knows what a woman wants. So that's the hilarity of all this when you think about that. And I think this is why a lot of straight women experiment with other women and actually get to be satisfied, because very few men actually satisfy their women, apart from me, of course. I know what I'm doing, But anyway, I don't really want to go into that. Well, I already have. It's a bit late now. So I love that scene. I really, really do. And I just think this film manages to be a great spokesperson for women. But it also, if you're a man, you can watch this without thinking, they hate me. And this is the difference. This is the ultimate intelligence, emotional intelligence in Warner Brothers, Patty Jenkins, and what they did with this film. Now, when you look at Disney and the way they marketed Captain Marvel and the way that they had Brie Larson go out and say certain things, me as a man, as a kind of white dude, I'm a little bit tanned because I've got Greek Cypriot parents, but me as a, let's call myself a white dude, are thinking, you don't like me. You don't like me because of my skin colour. You don't like me because of my gender. And I'm thinking while I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I've got her voice running in my head and I'm thinking, I'm kind of enjoying Captain Marvel. It's okay. It's nothing special, but it's okay. But what you said in public really upset me because I can't understand how you can hate people because of their gender or judge people because of their gender and the colour of their skin. I just don't understand that mentality, right? So with this film, you've got Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot in public being so loving and accepting, calling this film a film for everyone, calling Wonder Woman a character for everyone. And that's so true and so genuine how these two women came across. Of course, they want equality for their gender, they do. But they obviously were told by their studio, and they decided it themselves, to promote gender equality in a better way. We all know, I'm 46 years old. I come from a male-dominated environment. I understand that. And coming from a male-dominated environment, this change we're seeing right now is very, very difficult to accept because it's right, it's proper. But because I come from a male-dominated society, it's very difficult sometimes when you hear certain women saying certain things. So change is difficult for everyone, even though humanity should never have been in a male-dominated society. Well, this film finds a way to bridge the gap, to help people who have lived in a male-dominated society to understand how wrong that's been. And how this is the world I want to live in. I want to live in a world where Wonder Woman exists. Because Wonder Woman doesn't discriminate against me or you or girls or women or anyone. Wonder Woman says, I love everybody. Men, women, boys, girls. Gal and Patty were posting pictures of boys dressed up as Wonder Woman. How beautiful is that? How intelligent is that? What a wonderful message to promote. Just like the wonderful message that Zachary Levi is promoting right now by his love and acceptance and talking to people who are suffering with depression. This is what we get from the DCEU. Screen Rant did an article yesterday trying to say that the leader of Warner Brothers is like Donald Trump, which I think is a disgusting accusation, by the way. Warner Brothers is nothing like Donald Trump. Don't link us in with that idiot, right? Don't get things mixed up. Don't get things twisted. The hatred of Trump shouldn't be a hatred of all white dudes. It should be a time where we look at a man like that and think, you know what, you're teaching us something, Donald. You're teaching us not to be like you, not to take all white dudes and put them in the same pot and call us all scum, like Brie Larson has blatantly done. Wonder Woman didn't do that. Patty Jenkins, Gal, didn't do that. They told us that Wonder Woman is for everyone. And Wonder Woman is for everyone. Of course, they were intelligent enough to understand that, yes, they wanted to attract women and young girls to this film. But predominantly, Wonder Woman has always had male fans. Because when Wonder Woman first started, she was a very sexualized character. There's no run yes, she's always been a very feminist character, but the way she was drawn in the comics, she was very sexualized. So there's no escaping that. So that's why a lot of the American GIs and the American soldiers used to read that comic. But also, she's always been a very inspirational female character, even before the film. Even before the film. But the film just takes it to another level. So ultimately, you've got this amazing film, and it's literally this strange, this strange being in this strange land. She comes to Earth with this man, with the first man she's ever met. She decides from a few words from this man that she wants to help the world of men. Right, even though she's a woman, she wants to save mankind. She wants to save man. Even though she sees all these men shooting at her when those German soldiers invade Fantasy Island, aka Themyscira. She sees that. She sees a bad example of men, but she doesn't do what your average girl does on Twitter or on Instagram and start saying, oh, all men are pigs. No, she sees beyond that and realizes that life is worth saving. And this film has so many great messages, so many great messages. I found it inspirational, exciting. This film is everything a modern day film should be. It's got great messages. It looks great. The action's great. The action's great. And Gregson Williams gives one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in Hollywood movie history. The whole film is a freaking sonnet. It is beautiful. It is inspirational. It brings tears to my eyes. And Wonder Woman, the movie, is everything that Captain Marvel isn't. Captain Marvel is an empty shell. Let's say it. But this film isn't. I am not putting Wonder Woman against Captain Marvel, Zachary Levi, just in case anyone starts. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm telling you, this is a better film, that the marketing for this film is better. It's marketed with love, of an embracement for everyone. Captain Marvel doesn't do that. It doesn't. We know exactly what Captain Marvel's done. And what Disney have done is wrong. And what Warner Bros., Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot did in the marketing and within making this film was absolute perfection. It was love. And it made us, the audience, choose love as Wonder Woman chose love. And this is how gender equality should work. This is how a female-led movie should work. First of all, give us a character we can care about. Don't just say, hey, I'm a girl, ain't it cool? No, not if you're not going to do it properly. Not if you're just going to throw female leads on there and expect their gender to do the talking. That's not how it works. You've still got to write a great script. You've still got to give us a great character. And Patty Jenkins did that. Patty Jenkins didn't just get this role because she was a female and they thought it was right that a female should direct a female. I think the best director should direct anything. But this woman was the best director for the job. I haven't even touched on the ultimate No Man Land's sequence. No Man's Land sequence, right? That is the most inspirational moment in film history. It is. Think about the title, No Man's Land. Think about it, right? No man's ever been able to cross it. But ultimately, Diana, a woman, does. I'm surprised no one caught onto that and some people didn't start saying, oh my God, yeah, it's a woman who did it. But it's awesome. It's a great message. A woman stands up and does something so brave and something that a man can't do. That's not a horrible thing against men. Because in those days, women didn't fight. There weren't female soldiers. But this one female soldier, Wonder Woman, this heroine, or hero, whatever you want to call her, or hero, whatever you want to call her, whatever your specifics are, this woman is told by Chris Trevor, stop it. You can't do this. We're not here to save everyone. We've got to do what we can. So Wonder Woman says, well, that's what I'm here to do. In other words, You may not be here to save everyone, but I am. Because she doesn't come from a society that bows and scrapes to men. She comes from a society full of women. She doesn't know. It's like when she first goes to that government place and the men go, ooh, a woman, you know. That's a great moment. Again, that could have triggered people. But it's done so well. It's done so on the level that you understand what's been trying to say. And really, when Wonder Woman walks in there, she's not going, oh, why don't these men want me in the same room? That's sexist, that's out of order. No, because Diana doesn't know those terms. But she does go in there, she does speak her mind, and I liked that. I liked the way it was done. Because these things need addressing, but they need addressing by emotionally intelligent people. And this is what Patty Jenkins and the writers of Wonder Woman did so well. So we go back to the No Man's Land sequence. First of all, this scene is beautifully shot. Can you believe that Warner Brothers wanted to cut it out of the movie? Nuts. And it just shows you that studios don't have a clue about film. But criticise Warner Brothers if you like, and this accusation that they take over films. They listened to Patty Jenkins. She insisted on it being there, and it was on there, and it worked, right? It's a beautiful shot scene. This might be the most beautiful shot scene I've ever seen in my life. So she's standing there, she's walking through there, right? She doesn't know she's invulnerable. She knows she's powerful, but she doesn't know she's invulnerable. Wonder Woman isn't. I don't think she's invulnerable. I think if she was to be shot, I'm not sure I don't even know if she's bulletproof. I know she can do the bullets like that. So anyway, right, that's a conversation for another time. So she's giving it all this, and the bullets are bouncing off her. It's done all in kind of slow motion, but not super slow-mo, not in stupid slow motion. It's done so well, so it focuses on her. The music and Gal's face expression is so emotional. This woman is walking across no man's land. She's breaking ground, but she's not breaking ground for the hell of it. She hasn't stood up to be the first woman to do something. She stood up because she's the only being who can do this. And she wants to save lives. She doesn't care whose life she's saving. She doesn't care who she's fighting. She just wants to make the world a better place. And that No Man's Land sequence is a groundbreaking moment for gender equality. Because it's not standing there saying, ooh, I hate men. No, it's saying, I am a person. I am a woman. And if I apply myself, I can do anything a man can. I'm not saying that I'm better than a man. I'm saying I want to be treated like a human being. And this is what happens. She walks through no man's land, a beautiful shot scene with beautiful music, which I could watch on repeat forever. It absolutely is an outstanding moment in film history, in gender equality. A Hollywood Reporter kind of journalist said there's a part of Captain Marvel that women's movements will be reciting forever. No, they won't. The only thing women's movements should be doing, women who genuinely care about gender equality and the rights of women, not ones who are just doing it because it's the in thing to talk about, right? Anyone who wants to teach young girls about gender equality, female strength and empowerment, show them the No Man's Land sequence. This scene inspires men and women, by the way. Everyone, because Wonder Woman was for everyone. So this film is a 10 out of 10. This film is criticised for its third act. The third act is amazing for me, especially for the part that she fights this villain, and in the end she chooses love over hate. But she has to wipe him out. There's no way, because he's going to keep on coming back. That's why she says, goodbye, brother. Even that moment for me is really emotional, because she's literally killing her brother, even though they don't have a bond and they didn't grow up together. That is her brother that she's got to wipe out, and that's a big moment too. So I love that, and I love the third act. I love the whole film, and I think it's amazing, really. We're talking about 2017. We're 2 years on, and really, I know a lot of us are raving about Alita, and it's a good film, but not on the level of Wonder Woman. Not for the messages in gender equality it promotes. But it promotes something else. Men and women standing together. Chris Trevor, Diana, and his friends standing together in battle. They care about each other. They've got a bond. It doesn't matter about their gender. This is what this film does, where Captain Marvel does something else. It really wants to hammer home how men have oppressed women. Now, generations of men have oppressed women, but I'd rather think about what we're going to do to improve society in that attitude rather than harping back to it, because it is disgusting how women have been treated in the history of humanity. But what's more important is not to linger on it, but to figure out how we're going to do better as a society, as men and women, because hating each other isn't an option. And what I saw yesterday on International Women's Day was a lot of hatred. Men hating women, women hating men, triggering each other through Twitter posts. This film tries a new tact. Men and women standing together. And it's absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this extended video. It's a subject I'm really passionate about. This film is so beautiful. I have so much time for it. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back for another DCEU Daily tomorrow. And who knows what we'll be talking about, but anything could drop by then.